Hi Gemini, welcome to your December 2016 General Tarotscope. So I wanted to, before I go into the actual tarot reading, I wanted to give you a heads up for some of the transits that are occurring in the month. And for you, a lot of them are going to affect your seventh house of committed partnership. And actually, even when the sun and the new moon at the end of December are in your eighth house, that also can be connected to a committed partner, because the eighth house deals with intimacy and the seventh house deals with the actual partnership. So you have at the beginning of the month Mercury going into the eighth house. And that could be some kind of a matter, even concerning inheritances, other people's money, where you're required to sign contracts or you have to think about these things. There will be a Mercury retrograde in this eighth house on the 19th of the month. So do be careful of that, because during Mercury retrograde, it's not advised to sign contracts. Now, obviously, there may be circumstances that would make it so that you have to sign a contract during one of those transits, and then the advice is to be very cautious about any possible mistakes. So you can still do it, but just double or triple check. But you are going to have the sun in the seventh house as the month begins, in the sign of Sagittarius, which is your opposite sign. So that is, I think, just having the sun in the seventh house is very good for any kind of positive energy to flow within a relationship. So if you've been experiencing any problems, and of course you do have Saturn as a long-term transit in this house until the end of 2017. So that Saturn can test, the area that it falls into. And the seventh house, there can be certain things that come up. I read somewhere that a relationship that is very rocky, that could be the end of that relationship. But if it's a strong enough relationship, it may be tested, but it does not, fall apart. It actually gets stronger. So what are the other things that are happening? Because we do have the sun going into that eighth house, and then we have a new moon there on the 29th of the month. And by the way, the sun goes into Capricorn on the 21st. That's the winter solstice, or the summer solstice. I always forget that there's a southern hemisphere. And that's going to, when you have the new moon there as well, that's a new beginning in the area of this deep intimacy. And so it could even be in terms of any kind of metaphysical studies, if that's something that interests some of you. That's part of the eighth house, what we call the occult, which really gets such a bad rap. But the occult, the word occult just means hidden. So it's kind of like the mysteries of life, the things that are not necessarily talked about, in a mainstream sort of way. And you could even have like a whole new makeover, soul makeover. Well, yeah, I guess you would call it that, because the eighth house is a house of transformation. So some of you may feel like you're going through a lot. Now, actually, you're going to have a full moon in your own sign on the 13th of December. So that gives you that sense of having some kind of new, shedding an old skin or something along those lines. For the first week of the month, Venus will be in that eighth house. It can bring, Venus can bring money. So again, with inheritances, or if you are coupled with somebody, their money somehow can, benefit you in some way, or you can gain materially by something, by the dead, or by any kind of occult matter. Somehow you may benefit in that sense. Some of you may want to spend your money on something that is not a necessity but a luxury, that has to do with any of those issues. So it could be maybe some kind of a seminar that is related to metaphysics, maybe a past life regression session where there's like a big group of people and everybody is doing it at the same time. They have like these day-long seminars. That was just one thought. And then Venus goes into Aquarius, and that is a friendly sign, a fellow air sign, and that's your 9th house. And Gemini rules the 3rd house, Sagittarius rules the 9th house in the universal chart. And so as the opposite house of Gemini, it is the house of higher learning. It's the house of just religious and philosophical frameworks. It's the house of foreign travel. So maybe money appears so that you can go and take that trip overseas that you've been wanting to take. You could find love with a foreigner. That's always a possibility. So very interesting. Mars, what's Mars doing? Mars is going to be in this house until the 19th, and then it goes into your 10th house of career in the sign of Pisces. And that's happening, I just said on the 19th. So with Mars in the 9th house, you may be, maybe literally somebody who's traveling from country to country, a globetrotter, or it could be just some sort of, I would say, especially with travel, because there's a physical element with Mars. Mars likes to get physical. And then in the 10th house of career, it's more of a stamina and ambition thing. Mars is also about ambition. So for some people, there may be mixing travel and career. And so then you have like that progression. Okay. I was just thinking as I pick these cards that I'm picking a lot of major arcana cards lately, and I can't help but wonder if a lot of us, because I'm talking about my general readings here, that a lot of us are going through particularly significant times at the moment. And, if you look at the outer news, and I always put that in quotes because we don't really know what the actual story is, but what we see happening in some, even if it's faked to some degree, there still is a lot of this sense of things changing, and so maybe that is affecting all of us, and it's kind of a turning point in our collective incarnation on this planet. So in any case, the overall energy is the Eight of Wands. So this is a card of a lot of communication, something that you do naturally, Gemini, but it's something, maybe fast-paced events in the month of December for you, that you may hear exciting news, you may feel a sense of anticipation about something. This could involve a fire sign, and I have mentioned there's a couple of indications that it may actually be a Sagittarius. But in case that you're involved with somebody else, that would be either an Aries or a Leo individual. But I feel like because this is in the past, the Nine of Swords with anxieties, insomnia, that you may feel like you've broken through, or you've, gone over a hump, and you're feeling a lot more confident about your life now. Maybe you're feeling like you were unsure about something. And of course, it could be definitely about a new job. And if you were out of work for a while, you may have been a little bit nervous about that. And now you feel this sense of possibility or possibilities. In personal relationships, you may have felt, maybe you felt suffocated, or that you were, I don't know, oppressed. The Eight of Swords is more about oppression coming from an outside source, even though it's, or feeling that's from an outside source, but it's really your own thoughts that are imprisoning you. With the Nine of Swords, I feel like it's all on the mental level. And because the Nine is more about worry. And so that makes me think something regarding, and this could also be involving a problematic air sign, a fellow Gemini, or a Libra or Aquarius individual. I'm trying to think now. With you, maybe it's a Libran, because that's the person that's in your fifth house. But you may be dealing, it is possible that you're dealing with an Aquarius because your ninth house is activated with Mars there and all that stuff, in Venus. So maybe you are dealing with that, with an Aquarian. But you feel a sense of liberation for some reason, because something feels like, you feel like your life is opening up for you. And accompanying this at this time is the High Priestess. So, the interesting thing about the High Priestess is that it's really about, sometimes it's about finding out things that, have been hidden, kind of like the Moon card. But I really do feel like it's tapping into your higher self and connecting with that, and not always, like, because you're an air sign, relying on your intellect to solve all your problems. Because a lot of times, and this is what I'm talking about with the Nine of Swords, a lot of times, well, maybe I should say 100% of the time, that worry is illogical, because the premise is faulty. The premise is that something bad is going to happen. It's never that, oh, everything's going to be fine. So when you start with a faulty premise, and it's a faulty premise because you have no idea what's going to happen, so you're choosing to think the negative thought. And as we all know, once you get on that train, it becomes a runaway train. The High Priestess is about getting yourself together and knowing that you have the ability to not only stop your thought, and that's what meditation is supposed to be, is stopping your thought, but also you can choose a different thought. You can choose a higher thought. The higher message is the Justice card. I do feel that maybe some of that anxiety was due to a marital situation. The seventh house, which I told you is kind of under a lot of hits or transits, triggers, is putting, for some of you, as I say, if you've had a a rocky marriage. And I'm saying marriage specifically because the legal system might be involved, and that's the Justice card can relate to that. And you may be up at night. You may have been up at night, either literally or figuratively, trying to see a way out of a situation. And the higher message for some of you may be that yes, divorce is the answer to this problem. Maybe for some reason you have thought that you could avoid that, but you may realize, and especially if you do receive some kind of a word that causes you to feel relief and release, that your life is opening up again. And as a result, you have to kind of help the process along by, walking away from something that isn't serving you. And this is specifically related to a relationship. For people that are, dealing with a work situation, the Justice card may be saying that everything is happening as it should. It could be possible that you were in a situation that you felt was unfair, and that was causing you anxiety, and now maybe you either have gotten a different job and you're released from that situation, or maybe you were able to remedy it within your current place of employment, but there's a sense of fairness that is being restored. Lacrosse is used as the Temperance card. This is the card of Sagittarius, and so in the reversed or the challenge position, one possibility is that a Sagittarian person is causing problems for you, and is the root of the problem. It can also mean that there's addiction in your life, and that is causing problem. Maybe that is the reason that you have to get away from somebody. But it could be also that you are imbalanced in some way, and that is contributing to things. Maybe that Nine of Swords is pointing to you getting into that thinking too much mode. I said in another video for another air sign about air signs tending to think too much and getting a little goofy from that kind of overactive mind. The other thing, and I do think that Gemini has to watch out for this, because you are a mutable sign, so you're very wavering. You have the ability to kind of be very changeable. And so you can go from feeling, one way 5 minutes ago to another totally different mood because of that changeability. So you have to kind of find some way to develop stability to be able to anchor your thoughts, anchor your emotions better, and to be more effective in your life, just overall. The advice is the Emperor, and this is, for some people, this could be a judge or somebody related to the courts. This could also be somebody who is in law enforcement or in the military. This could be somebody that you're going to as an advisor, or it could be somebody in a relationship with. It's also associated with Aries. I did mention that it might not be a Sagittarius, but it could be another fire sign like Aries. But this person, sometimes I associate it with Capricorn, actually. Somebody who is very black and white in their way of doing things. Now, just talking about that challenge card with the Temperance, this, for some of you, this may be what you're being advised to become more like, because I just said that you have a very changeable mindset, and you may need to kind of buckle down for a while if you're, let's say you're going into a transition into a new job, or even traveling for your work, and you're trying to turn over a new leaf. You may have to get into a very serious mode where you're not all over the place, where you're very focused and you're just very serious. You're all about what you're doing. You may need to take control. You know, the Emperor can be about control, and that may be something that you have allowed to maybe you've been lax about that in your life, and you need to be more like that. For some of you, the Temperance card may point to some kind of, maybe you have some issue like addiction that you need to take care of, and the Emperor card is about you taking control of your life better. And by the way, when I say addiction, it doesn't have to be substance abuse. It could be also just a tendency, you know, like to worry, you know, to be high strung. You know, you are naturally, I think, high strung. And so that kind of constantly being keyed up like that can, you know, work against you sometimes. So that's the discipline of meditation, for instance, might be exactly what the Emperor card represents. Maybe an Aries person is important to you, and you should, you know, nourish that relationship or seek it out. The Outcome is the Magician card, and it's about, you know, co-creation, being proactive, being independent, you know, being somebody who is able to create something out of nothing, and you're, you know, self-reliant, I would say, too. Creating your own magic. And, you know, this is particularly important if you are coming from a place where you felt that, you know, you were being under somebody else's thumb, be it in a relationship or on the job. And I feel like you're going to feel more free and more able to chart your own course going forward. So, I mean, there's a lot of major arcana cards, possibly a lot of changes or shifts, maybe even on the mental level, that you will be experiencing in, you know, the next month or so. So I hope you enjoyed this, Gemini. If you'd like a private reading, I have a link below this video. Otherwise, have a great December. Bye.